You met with President Obama and Vice President Biden in D.C. with other governor elections from around the country.
Sure.
Can you speak to that?
Sure. What happened is we met with a couple secretaries first, HHS and Homeland Security. Then we had a lunch with Joe Biden and the president. They both spoke with media there, and then the media left, and then we were able to ask questions. We talked about the budget deficit, and basically the president acted like he didn't have any control over it. We talked about Medicaid, the fact that Medicaid's killing all of our state budgets. We spoke, shouldn't we be able to opt out of his health care bill? And he basically said, well, as long as you basically do the same thing, so just no opt out. So so we didn't make any progress. And I personally believe that the changes in this country are going to happen at the governor level. We're the ones dealing with the big issues. So I'm optimistic that, and I'm going to keep pushing personally for giving us a block grant for our Medicaid dollars and let us figure it out, because we can take care of the patients at a better price than the federal government with all their rules can.
You also said that oil drilling came up, but it came up before you even showed up.
So they invited me to the White House. They knew when I was coming up. 2 days before, they put the drilling ban in the Gulf. They didn't call me. They didn't call the existing governor, Governor Christ. They didn't explain why they were doing it. So that doesn't make any sense. If you're going to do these things, you ought to call the governor, and you ought to explain why you're doing it.
You think that was by design?
I don't know.
But you're for additional oil drilling moving forward, even after the spill in the Gulf.
I'm for safe drilling. Basically, we have to become energy independent. So as long as we can do, here's the issues we have to make sure we're comfortable with. One, it's got to be safe. We're not going to mess up our beaches. We're not going to invest in our environment. We're not going to mess up our economy. On top of that, we've got to understand what the military needs for their flight range, firing range in the Gulf. So we've got to work through those issues. But they should be talking to us about what our needs are.
You were going to see if we could pass some kind of law similar to the Arizona law in Florida, and it looks like it's going down that path. Would you still sign a law that you'd be comfortable with?
Sure. Here's what I want to make sure happens. One, I want to make sure the federal government secures the borders. I want to do everything I can to make sure the federal government comes up with a logical immigration policy, deals with work visas, things like that. Finally, if you're in our country and you're stopped by law enforcement, no different than you and I get asked for our IDs, you should be able to ask if you're legal or not. Now, we can't do it if there's any chance of racial profiling. So, but that's the way I look at immigration.